Hi everybody, thank you so much for returning back to my YouTube channel, Learn with Mr. Deb. My name is Sham Deb and I am again going to do another educational video. This time it is on business ownership. If you have seen previous videos, then please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you haven't seen my previous YouTube videos, please go back and have a look at them. Today's topic is great if you are doing GCSE business or A-level business, or you're looking at starting a business for yourself. So without further ado, the topic is, what is a private limited company? A private limited company is an incorporated business. There are two types of business ownerships. One is incorporated and the other is unincorporated. Now, unincorporated businesses are sole traders and partnerships, and incorporated are private limited company and public limited company. Now, I will do other videos where I look and explore at the other types of ownership, but today we're just going to focus on this type of incorporated business, which is a private limited company. Now, this form of ownership is owned by shareholder. Now, a shareholder is somebody or anybody who buys shares or a percentage ownership in your business. The percentage will depend on how much they invest. They can invest a large proportion of money or a small proportion of money. Regardless, they become a shareholder. And in return for becoming a shareholder, your business, in which case a private limited company, has to give that shareholder some kind of return on investment, and that will be profit, and in business we call that dividend payments, which is a percentage of the profits. So it's run by directors, and they tend to be the directors who are the shareholders, and you have to have a minimum of 2 directors. And they have a separate legal identity. So in terms of the law, they are seen as a separate legal identity. And that's because they are an incorporated business. And because of that, they have a separate legal identity, which means that they have limited liability. A private limited company must have the abbreviation LTD after the name. The LTD stands for limited. So whenever you see a company followed by LTD, that would indicate that they are a private limited company. They cannot sell shares on the London or any stock exchange. If it's an American private limited company, then it would be the New York Stock Exchange. And if it's a London Stock Exchange, if it's a British company, they can't sell it on the stock exchange. They are not allowed to advertise their shares. So they can't nationally advertise their shares to the public because it's not a public limited company. They can only sell shares to people that they know. So friends and family are the normal people that they ask to buy shares. And there's a minimum number of shareholders, and the minimum number to start that organisation is 2. So 2 shareholders in order to start and form that business. And these 2 shareholders tend to be the directors of the organisation. So there are a number of benefits and there are a number of drawbacks of starting a private limited company. What's really important for you to understand is that these benefits and drawbacks are what usually are discussed in an exam question, which I'll show you later. So the benefits of starting a private limited company, the first one is you have access to larger sums of money. So sole traders and partnership have access to a smaller pool of money, because with a partnership the maximum number is 20, but with a private limited company you can sell as many shares as you want, and because you can gain lots of shareholders, each shareholder will bring an investment into the business, and because of that they can gain large investments, which is why they can gain large amounts of finance. Now, it's also important to note that private limited companies also tend to get bank loans and loans in general a little bit easier than the sole traders and the partnership, which is also beneficial, which brings in that finance that they need. They also have limited liability, which means ultimately that they don't have to risk their personal possession if the business does become bust. If the business becomes bust, then the investment of their shareholder, whatever the amount is at risk, but any personal possession, including cars, house, anything like that, is not at risk. So they are protected because they are an incorporated business. So limited liability is a fantastic benefit of being a private limited company. Also, Because they're a private limited company and shares are not sold on the stock exchange, there's less chance of takeovers. Because there's no one else apart from people that they know are buying the shares, not anybody and everybody can come and take over their business. Then we come to the drawbacks. So the drawbacks are, there's lots of legal formalities. So what we're going to understand, in order to start this business, there's lots of legal formalities and it's not straightforward, not like a partnership, not like a sole trader, because with them form of ownership, all you have to do in reality is register with HMRC for tax purposes. With forming a private or a public limited company, there are lots of legal formalities. You have to create articles of association, memorandum of association, you have to get a certificate of trading, and so there's lots of formalities you need to go through in order to gain access to selling shares to people. You cannot sell shares on the London Stock Exchange or any stock exchange, which is also going to be a major disadvantage if you want to grow your business, gain large sums of investment, which is a problem when you compare it against a public limited company. Also, profits have to be shared. So with a sole trader, if you remember, sole traders, it's a one-person business, you keep all the profits, but with a private limited company, you have to give your shareholders, people who've invested money in your business, dividend payments. And them dividend payments are spread according to how many shares they own and how much they invested. So that is a private limited company. What I'm now going to discuss with you is an exam question which looks at how this question could be examined. So typically in an exam, you'd get a question which is given with a context, with a scenario, and then with a follow-up question where you're going to have to make some kind of judgment. So the question for this, and I've made it up, is Deb Health and Fitness, DHF, is considering becoming a private limited company. So they're thinking about becoming a private limited company. Currently, the form of ownership that they have is a partnership between 2 and 20 people. So they want to grow the business, they're thinking about changing ownership, and they want to go and become a private limited company. So, advise DHF on whether they should become a private limited company or remain as a partnership. So that is a question, and it would be given typically as 10 marks. It could be 8 marks, it could be 12 marks. It is typically a big question, and it's testing you on your ability to make a judgment, because that's what the advice is there for, whether they should become a private limited company or remain as a partnership. So to be able to handle this question, you're going to have to look at two sides of the argument. So you're looking at the benefits and the drawbacks of becoming a limited company, a private limited company. What's good and what's bad? And if you typically go back, what I showed you before, the benefits and the drawback, and you would discuss that and you would explain it in the context of Deb Health and Fitness. Then you would look at, well, why don't we stay as a partnership? What's good about what's good about staying as a partnership? And what are the problems of staying as a partnership? What could potentially be the reason why we're thinking about changing ownership? What's the problems between it? So you have that discussion, benefits and drawback, and the benefits and drawback. Remember to link it back to the case study, the context of the situation. And then finally, you would draw a conclusion where you would answer the question. And you would have to make a decision, and you're going to have to advise the company, DHF, of whether they stay or whether they change. And that's how you would typically answer that question. Remember, everything is based around context, the context of the business. So don't make generic points, don't make generic benefit or drawback, link it back to the case study. So that is how you would answer a 10 marker. So that in a nutshell is a private limited company. Hopefully you found that useful. If you have enjoyed and liked the video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, if you are not sure about anything, please write into the comments box. And if you want any future videos and any kind of topic of your choice, then please again write that into the comments box. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you for learning with Mr. Deb. Have a good day.